major escalation in tension between Israel and Hamas, and now Hezbollah has jumped straight into this battle. Let's quickly listen into the main points. Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah chief, he spoke today. He said the Hamas war against Israel was actually a holy war. He said this October 7 attack on Israel, which he called was the Al-Aqsa Typhoon, it's shaken Israel to the core. It's had a strategic impact. It's had a political, diplomatic, military and psychological impact on Israel. No longer is Israel considered infallible. But that's not all. He said this holy war will continue. He, of course, distanced the Hezbollah from this war, saying this was a Palestinian operation. This was planned entirely in Palestine. Nobody had any information about it, and that is what explains the success of the strike, in which 1,400 people were killed in Israel and several taken hostage. But he says this war against Israel will continue and has shaken the core of Israel. And that's not all. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also reacted. He's warned Lebanon not to get involved in Israel's war on Hamas, making it very clear there will be massive consequences for Beirut, for Lebanon, in case Hezbollah open the second front. While there is heightened tension and Hezbollah fighters have been targeting the Israeli forces, but it's restricted to one pocket in northern Israel. Israel has warned Lebanon against widening the arc of this conflict. Let's quickly listen in to Hassan Nasrallah and also to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
They set as top goal to annihilate Hamas, the whole of Hamas. Then, speaking of toppling the government of Hamas, then eliminating the leaders of Hamas, then the military wing of Hamas. Now they are claiming to have as a top goal to annihilate Hamas. And when they started to wake up, they now speak about another goal, to bring home the captives. Those who have had a long experience with different resistance factions in Palestine and Lebanon throughout history, have you seen at any point of time, the Israelis capable of releasing their captives without negotiations? Never. They falsely claimed that Hamas beheaded babies, and they failed to produce a single piece of evidence. Yet they remain silent against the images of thousands of babies and children torn apart in Gaza as a result of the Israeli missiles. Now all exposed, the whole West claiming and preaching about democracy, humanity, rule of law. It's nothing but hypocrisy. It is a lynch law. We are living in a jungle. We all must establish this fact. The United States is totally responsible for the war raging in Gaza against unarmed, defenseless people.
Our forces are working in all the arenas. Our will be loud and clear. Our enemies will be defeated, and we will not stop until victory and achieving all our goals. In the north, I say to our enemies, don't make a mistake. A mistake will cost you dearly.
And for more on the story, I quickly want to cut across to India. Today's Shiv Arur, just back from the Gaza Strip, covering Israel's war on Hamas terror on ground zero. Shiv, what do you make of what Hassan Nasrallah said? Does this indicate that the arc of this war is actually widening, or is this a lot of talk as yet? Lebanon perhaps will weigh in very heavily and not let Hezbollah widen the scope of this battle, at least for now. Keep it restricted in one sector. The Americans are also getting involved in a bigger way. Shiv, take it away.
You know, Gaurav, this may have been a very highly anticipated speech by the Hezbollah chief, Hassan Nasrallah, but none of the things he said were beyond expectations at all. You know, he's talking about a holy war, a decisive war, you know, honoring the martyrs, as he calls them, of the Hamas, you know, calling this, you know, the river to the sea, you know, a war that has to end, you know, in favor of the Arab world. The destruction of Israel, the death of Zionism. You know, these are all the stock things that the Hezbollah and the Hamas have said for a very, very long time. Now, as a proxy of Iran, I think what most people were hoping to find clarity on from the Hezbollah chief was an indication of perhaps what the level of involvement will be, both by the Hezbollah as well as its mastermind sitting in Tehran, you know, the Iranian government and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. That has not been forthcoming at all, and I'm not surprised because usually in speeches of this kind, they serve more as you know, information warfare and messaging and mind games rather than, you know, providing any kind of a tactical blueprint as to how a country is going to escalate the situation. I did an interview with the Israeli ambassador who actually said he thinks it's unlikely that Iran will get involved in any direct way in this conflict. There is a possibility of an escalation from the Hezbollah side, which has already been happening, you know, whether it is anti-tank missiles and surface-to-air missiles on the Lebanon border, whether it is the Houthis, you know, attacking from Yemen, whether it is the Hamas continuing to receive Iranian support and weapons to continue to keep that offensive capacity against Israel. But Israel doesn't believe this is going to spill over into a larger conflict. The reason, of course, for that is the United States has deployed in a very big way in West Asia. That is something that Iran has, you know, received as a very, very real message. But it is going to continue to, you know, poke Israel, to test its responses, keep that pressure and a semblance of Israel being surrounded, as it were, by the Islamic world. But as far as Hassan Nasrallah is concerned, his job as a proxy of Iran is very clear, and I think that's what the Hezbollah is going to continue to do.